Could you handle the loan repayment for me? As I toiled away at work, an unexpected email popped up on my screen. With a sense of urgency, I reached out to Greg, seeking an explanation. Calmly, he disclosed, "Apologies for the suddenness. I've met someone and I've made the choice to embark on a new journey with her." Shock washed over me as he revealed his intention to abscond with the luxurious car we'd recently acquired under my name, financed through a loan. Despite my fervent pleas, my husband brushed them aside, abruptly ending the call before vanishing into silence. Ultimately, Greg vanished alongside his mistress, leaving a mountain of debt in his wake. As a mother to our 10-year-old son, I found myself thrust into an unimaginably unjust circumstance. Lost and overwhelmed, I grappled with a mind rendered blank by the enormity of it all. At 35 years old, I, Hannah, found myself navigating uncharted territory. Greg, my husband, shared the same age, and together with our son Ryan, we were once a family of 3. Since he was young, Ryan had displayed remarkable intelligence, often delving into papers on the computer and seeking my opinion on them. Despite my own bewilderment at the complexity of the topics, I couldn't help but marvel at his intellect. In contrast, Greg struggled to maintain stability, drifting from one job to another without consistency. Meanwhile, I shouldered the weight of our family's financial security, working full-time with a persistent anxiety about our future. Yet, amidst this uncertainty, Greg surprised us by holding the same job for 3 years, finally bringing stability to our income. During this period, Greg expressed a desire to create lasting memories as a family, prompting us to invest in a $35,000 camper van. However, his inability to pass the loan review led to me taking on the financial burden in my name. Then, on the eagerly anticipated day of the van's delivery, I was blindsided by an abrupt email from Greg. His message conveyed his intention to claim the camper van since the loan was in my name, leaving me responsible for the repayments. Bewildered, I immediately reached out to him, desperate for clarity on his sudden decision. As I toiled away at work, an unexpected email notification caught my attention. "What's this about?" I inquired, my heart pounding with apprehension. Greg's voice on the other end was unsettlingly calm as he delivered the shocking news. "I've fallen for someone else and decided to pursue a relationship with her." Stunned, I struggled to comprehend his words. "What do you mean?" I pleaded, my voice trembling with disbelief. His response was callous. "It started as a fling, but it's become serious. I'm starting a new life with her. Goodbye." With those words, he abruptly terminated the call, leaving me reeling in shock. That exchange marked the moment I realized the depth of Greg's betrayal, a devastating blow that left me shattered. Despite our previous disagreements and the looming threat of divorce, I never fathomed he would take such drastic action. I had the divorce papers ready, I recalled bitterly. He promised to file them. Yet, as I searched for them, I discovered they were gone, leaving behind only a lingering sense of betrayal. Returning home from work, I found myself staring at the empty drawer where the divorce papers had once resided, a silent testament to the shattered remnants of our marriage. In their absence, I was left burdened with the weight of a substantial debt from the $35,000 car loan we had taken. Despite my desperate attempts to reach out to Greg through emails and calls, my pleas for closure remained unanswered, leaving me adrift in a sea of unanswered questions. Ryan, ever perceptive, noticed my recent change in demeanor and approached me with concern after dinner. "Mom, what's going on? You haven't been eating much lately." "Are you all right?" he inquired, his voice laced with worry. "Oh, I'm just a bit tired, I guess," I replied, attempting to brush off his concerns. "Did you know that when people lie, they tend to look up to the right?" Ryan remarked, his observation catching me off guard. "I've noticed Dad hasn't been home for 3 days. Did something happen between you two?" He pressed further. Taken aback by Ryan's astute questions, I took a deep breath, realizing I could no longer evade the truth. With a heavy heart, I made the decision to confide in him. "Well, you see," I began, preparing to lay bare the painful reality of our situation. "I understand," Ryan responded calmly, surprising me with his composed demeanor. "It's not entirely unexpected given how things have been lately." Despite his outward composure, I couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness for him. I knew that beneath his brave facade, he must be hurting. As I struggled to cope with the weight of our fractured family, I threw myself into work, desperately trying to distract myself from the turmoil within. However, my body betrayed the facade of strength I sought to project, and my health began to deteriorate. Despite my attempts to soldier on, I found myself unable to even stand during a training session at work, eventually collapsing from exhaustion. When I awoke, disoriented and frightened, I found myself in a hospital room, surrounded by concerned faces. The doctor's diagnosis cut through the haze of confusion. I needed further examinations, and I was to remain hospitalized. Feeling utterly defeated, I couldn't help but berate myself for succumbing to what I believed was merely emotional stress. In that moment of vulnerability, Hannah couldn't shake the overwhelming sense of self-reproach and despair. As I lay in the hospital bed, staring at the IV drip snaking into my arm and the sterile expanse of the ceiling above, tears welled up involuntarily. In that vulnerable moment, Ryan burst into the room, his usually composed demeanor shattered by concern. Hastily, I wiped away my tears, trying to summon a reassuring smile as he approached. "What's wrong, Mom? Is it serious? You're going to be okay, right?" Ryan's voice quivered with worry, his young face etched with fear. "Of course, sweetie. I'm not going anywhere," I reassured him, mustering all the strength I could. His relief was palpable as he explained. "The school called me and said you were rushed to the hospital. I was so scared. I thought—" His words trailed off, a poignant reminder of his tender age despite his usual maturity. It filled me with a renewed determination to fight, to get better for his sake. But as the days passed, my condition only worsened, and a grim diagnosis was delivered. I needed surgery, and I needed it urgently. With little time to spare, I heeded the doctor's advice and underwent the procedure, hoping for a swift recovery. A month had slipped by since Greg's abrupt departure when I finally returned home from the hospital. Amidst the pile of neglected mail, a demand letter for the car loan payment caught my eye, sending a wave of panic coursing through me. It should have been deducted automatically, I muttered, confusion mingling with frustration. With trembling hands, I checked my bank balance only to find it drastically depleted. The $20,000 that had once cushioned our finances now dwindled to a mere $33.90. Anger and betrayal surged within me as I realized the extent of Greg's deception. He did this. I seethed, a sense of helplessness washing over me. Desperate for answers, I longed to confront him, but his absence loomed large, leaving me grappling with a daunting uncertainty. Without the camper van, I found myself in a bind. I couldn't sell it to recoup any losses. Greg's departure cast a shadow over everything, plunging me deeper into despair. Witnessing my distress, Ryan reached out, placing a comforting hand on my forehead. "You look pale. Are you feeling sick again?" "You don't have a fever, though," he observed, his concern palpable. Physically, I was fine, but the weight of our dwindling finances bore heavily on my shoulders. "Your father not only took the car but also drained our savings. With my health still fragile, I can't return to work. And now we're left with nothing," I confessed, my voice heavy with resignation. Understanding the gravity of our situation, Ryan refused to let despair take hold. "I'll deliver newspapers and I'll scour the internet for any job opportunities," he declared, determination gleaming in his eyes. Inspired by his resilience, I resolved to push through adversity. "I can't afford to be weak," I muttered, steeling myself against the challenges ahead. With a smile, Ryan echoed my determination, his unexpected suggestion sparking a glimmer of hope. As he outlined his plan to reclaim the camper van, I marveled at his ingenuity. "But how can we do that?" "The van is in your name," I pointed out, puzzled by the logistics. "That's true, but what if—" Ryan's suggestion left me speechless, the idea far beyond anything I had imagined. Yet, as he explained his strategy, a flicker of optimism ignited within me. "And we have no clue where your father is," I added, grappling with the uncertainty of Greg's whereabouts. "Let's check my phone," Ryan proposed, a memory surfacing of a previous hiking trip where he had momentarily strayed. "Remember when we got lost? We bought a kid's cell phone with a GPS app, accessible to both Dad and me." With renewed determination and a glimmer of hope, we set out to turn Ryan's ingenious plan into reality. With the tracking app providing real-time updates on Dad's whereabouts, Ryan shared his findings with me. "He's been moving around a lot," he noted, prompting my curiosity. But what if we confront him and he slips away again? I voiced my concern, to which Ryan responded with a reassuring smile and a cryptic statement. "Don't worry. I've got it covered," he assured me. His words left me stunned, realizing that Ryan had taken matters into his own hands while I was in the hospital, accomplishing something extraordinary. "I can't believe such a clever child came from me," I marveled, acknowledging his resourcefulness. He had even uncovered information about Greg's mistress. "All right, let's show Dad who he's crossed," I declared, ready to put our plan into action. United in purpose, my son and I meticulously prepared for the moment of reckoning. With Ryan by my side, I felt an unshakable resolve. 3 days later, a call interrupted the quiet anticipation. "It's me. Please, I need your help," the voice on the other end pleaded. Suppressing a surge of frustration, I responded coolly, "Oh, who might this be?" His identity confirmed, Greg continued, his desperation palpable. "I'm being questioned by the police. They might ask me to come to the station voluntarily. Help me out," he implored. Without missing a beat, I agreed to his request, rallying Ryan as we set off to find him. To our surprise, the scene unfolded in a forest park near our home, a place where camping was permitted. Greg stood before his car, flanked by police officers, his expression one of bewilderment as we approached. Feeling a mix of frustration and resignation, I motioned to the police, "Could we have a moment to talk privately as a couple?" With a nod from the officers, I ushered Greg, Ryan, and myself into the car. Greg, visibly uneasy under the scrutiny of onlookers, wasted no time urging us inside. Once seated, I addressed the bewildered pair before me. "I apologize for the interruption. Thank you for your patience. But could someone explain why the police showed up at our doorstep?" I inquired, my tone tinged with incredulity. Greg's response was laced with disbelief. "What? Why would you involve the police?" he protested, his confusion apparent. "It's quite simple, really," I countered, a hint of exasperation creeping into my voice. "My car was reported stolen, the camper van." Greg's attempt to downplay the severity of the situation only added fuel to the fire. "You filed for divorce, remember? We're not married anymore." "Technically, you're driving a stolen vehicle," I pointed out, Ryan's sharp intuition echoing my sentiments. "I didn't steal it. I just borrowed it," Greg argued weakly, his defense falling short in the face of Ryan's astute reasoning. With a calm resolve, Ryan interjected, "Well, regardless, Mom needs her car back. It would be really helpful if you could return it." Greg's protest faltered in the face of our collective determination, his earlier bravado crumbling under the weight of the truth. I extended my hand, silently demanding the keys from Greg, who reluctantly surrendered them. With the transaction completed, Ryan broke the tense silence. "Why did you abandon your family for this woman?" His question caught Greg off guard, leaving him fumbling for words as he awkwardly scratched his head. Seizing the opportunity to assert herself, Greg's mistress interjected with a smug chuckle. "It's because I'm more attractive than your mother. Can't you see it?" she taunted, her arrogance palpable. Infuriated by her audacity, I couldn't hold back. "Don't mock me. You've destroyed my life." I seethed, the bitterness of betrayal coursing through my veins. As Greg and Mandy engaged in a heated exchange, the air thick with tension, no one intervened, allowing them to confront their actions head-on. Meanwhile, we reached out to the police once more, providing an update on the unfolding situation. As darkness descended, the forest park became illuminated by the flashing red lights of police cars. In a moment of desperation, Greg pleaded for leniency. "I was wrong. I'll do better. Please just don't arrest me," he implored, his voice tinged with remorse. "People like you don't change overnight, especially those who are lazy," I asserted firmly, echoing Ryan's sentiment. "I can't trust you anymore. You need to face the consequences of your actions at the police station. If I end up in trouble because of this, I won't be able to repay the debts. Are you okay with that?" I challenged Greg, my voice tinged with frustration. "I have no problem with that. You can repay me after you've made amends for your wrongdoing. Take your time. I've already lined up a job for you," Greg replied nonchalantly. "Fine, let's tally it up. There's Ryan's child support and the $20,000 you stole from me. I'm not sure of the exact amount, but you'll work to repay it all," I declared, determined to hold him accountable. Turning to Mandy, Greg's mistress, I delivered a stern warning. You may think you're just a bystander, but don't forget, you're an accomplice to Greg's theft. Be prepared to face the consequences, I cautioned, my voice unwavering. Upon learning that she might be held responsible if Greg failed to return the stolen money, Mandy recoiled in fear. Desperate, she turned to her parents for assistance, only to be met with rejection. We disown any daughter who causes trouble for others, they declared, severing ties with her without hesitation. With Greg and Mandy escorted away in a police car, Ryan's clever strategy delivered the justice we sought against them. Though they were soon released from custody, they faced a substantial financial penalty. Through legal channels, I pursued $20,000 in damages from Greg. Additionally, I secured an agreement for him to pay $500 monthly in child support for Ryan. I facilitated Greg's employment at a subcontracting factory affiliated with my company, ensuring that his earnings would cover the support and other expenses owed to me, with deductions made directly from his salary. Furthermore, I sold the camper van, freeing myself from the auto loan burden. With my financial matters resolved, my health significantly improved, allowing me to dedicate myself energetically to my job. Ryan, too, stepped up, actively assisting with household tasks and errands. Determined to forge ahead, I am committed to creating a stable and secure future for Ryan, enabling him to pursue his dreams without compromise.